W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here's your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
As I was walking down the street.
Welcome in on a wonderful Wednesday. A little cloudy, but it looks like the rain is going to hold off. It is Pro Day. Pro Day. Not every college basketball program can say, we're having a Pro Day. You know, they call it Pro Day. There's a reason they call it Pro Day. It's you got to have pros, potential pros, to have the scouts from all these NBA teams come. And there will be plenty. I know, for instance, the Houston Rockets will have a scout in town. Chris Wallace will be here. He's excited to be back in town, from what I hear. And I think I'm going to go to lunch with him tomorrow, so I look forward to that. But the point is this. Memphis can use in recruiting that they have a pro day. And you can only do that if you can have one, and you've got to have top recruits to do it. And I give Penny Hardaway just my greatest admiration, and I'm going to tell you why. I say this before we hear on next week the IARP. In case you don't remember what the IARP is, that is the Independent Accountability Resolution Process Group. It's not AARP, of which I belong. It is the IARP. They're the group that began in, I want to say they were formed in 19. Memphis was the first case. There are plenty of others that really come from the FBI wiretap probe. LSU, Kansas, those schools in that mix. None of those schools have yet had any decision made by the IARP. And Jason Munns, our friend from the Commercial Appeal, is reporting that the IARP will render at some point next week, maybe as early as Monday, some sort of an update. So obviously that could mean that postseason could be in the balance. We'll have to wait and see. But I want to go back to my original point here, which is Penny Hardaway is a millionaire tens of times over. Tens of times. He doesn't need to work. I talked with him this morning. He's going to be a guest with us Friday at 10:10. So we'll talk about what happened at Pro Day. But Penny is working his tail off. So I tried to get a hold of Penny over the weekend, to be honest, and I wanted to get him on Monday. Penny says he is working so hard. Here's a guy who doesn't need to do this, doesn't need to work at all for the rest of his life, and really wants to do this for the community, for the school, to win a national title. And he's got the tools. I asked him about Larry Brown. He goes, oh, it's beautiful. We're working in harmony. And it's a great story. I hope it does not get tarnished next week by the rendering of something from the IARP. And remember, there's no appellate process with the IARP. And then just a month ago, didn't the NCAA said, well, we may be taking back some of this from the IARP because they hadn't done anything. So here's the response. The IARP is going to do something. We'll get an update next week. This is also cut down day. A lot of cuts in the NFL. I guess maybe at this point, Stephen Gilmore, the corner from the New England Patriots, is the biggest of all the people. Jay Morgan, would you say he's the biggest name thus far?
I would think so. I mean, four-time Pro Bowler at cornerback. I think only the guy that plays for the Rams, the cornerback, Jalen Ramsey. I believe they're the only two 4-time cornerbacks to be in the Pro Bowl. The next closest.
Is that right? Richard Sherman wasn't in the Pro Bowl 4 times?
I think the current. I guess he's a current guy.
He's a current guy now.
Plays
for the Bucs.
So he might have more, but I saw this morning those two guys are at 4, and I think there's a bunch of guys tied at 3 behind them. So he can really play good football.
He'll get picked up by somebody. That was a financial deal, right? The Patriots wanted him to lower his price tag the way Tom Brady had done all those years, and he didn't want to do it, so they cut him. But the one that hits home for us is this just coming over on Twitter, and I forget who reported it, but it looks like the Texans may be cutting Anthony Miller. I'm really surprised at that. Miller has already scored a touchdown. He has had a couple of occasions where he has caught multiple passes. That's a tough situation to be in there, the way that dysfunctional franchise is working. It did not work out for Anthony with the Bears. He was a second-round guy, so usually those kinds of guys get multiple chances. Will Anthony get a third? I truly hope that is the case. We'll find out, I guess, in the next couple of weeks. But Miller is going to be cut by the Texans. That's the word we are getting. Don't know if I believe in omens or anything like that, really. But last night, now good news is Grizzlies win. John Morant looked like $1 million, 27 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists in only 24 minutes. And the Grizzlies win the game, but there's no fourth quarter. And no one knew for a while if there was going to be a fourth quarter. My friend Pete Predica, who's about to join us, he and Brevin Knight, they were doing, and Rob Fisher, they were doing a dance trying to figure out what they were going to do, waiting for graphics to pop up to play off of, and he did, as usual, his splendid job. He chats with us in just a second. Let me let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Conway. Conway services heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and the tankless water heater. That's the best. I've got one. That's the new technology that is so good. You never run out of hot water, and since it only heats the water you use, you save money on your gas bill every month. At Conway, they're making it the perfect time. Replace the old energy-guzzling technology. And John says, here's what I'll do. I'll give you 12 months to pay interest-free, or I'll give you $250 off the old tank water heater. So it's the perfect time to make your change, and you never have to worry about a tank bursting in your attic and all that water coming out. There's no tank. You never run out of hot water. You save money. You can't beat it. All you got to do is call 384-3511, 384-3511. Conway services heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. So was this a hiccup, a bump in the road for the Grizzlies? So weird. Is that an omen of things to come? You win, though. That's the good part. Pete Predica does join us now. Longtime voice of on TV of the Grizzlies. I know this happened because you guys said it, where there was a fire alarm that went off like it did last night, and it was in a regular season game. But preseason, no, and they just canceled the game. Have you ever been involved where the fourth quarter didn't exist?
No, that was a first. I think this is the fourth time there's been some type of alarm, or maybe the third. Yeah, it was fourth time. Because we had one, I remember a Sunday afternoon game, I seem to remember, with the Charlotte Bobcats, that it happened before we actually got to start the game. And I remember another time being evacuated to the parking lot across the road. Then there was the Clipper game where the Grizzlies were not playing well, and there was a fire alarm in the middle of the game. And eventually some of the fans came back, and teams came back, and the Grizzlies came back from a double-digit deficit to win. But I've never had one where a game just hasn't been finished. As they say in soccer, the game was abandoned
right
after 3 quarters. So that was definitely a first.
I remember vaguely where I think it was in a pregame where that occurred during a Tiger game. Pregame before a whole bunch of people were in, and it was evacuated, and then we got back in. And again, it was like somewhere a sprinkler system went off, and that got the lights and the sirens going, which is really obnoxious in there. I guess FedEx Forum must lead the league and the NCAA in false alarms and evacuations. But that is the way it is. So what do you make out of your first organized venture with this 21-22 version of the Grizz?
Well, you had said it in the run-up here that, John Morant looked like $1 million, and he really did. John worked at 3 different camps or 3 different training venues during the off season, and worked on his shot. Yes, also worked on his confidence in his shot, and really sat down and watched a lot of video and came to the conclusion that, there would be times last year, Wolo, where he would be almost, to my eyes, too deferential and trying to get everybody else involved and get the assist numbers where he thought they should be. But the fact of the matter is, the more aggressive he is offensively, the more he looks for his own shot, whatever that shot may be, whether it's a 3 or a 2 or a layup or a slam dunk or a finger roll or whatever, his assist totals are going to go up anyway because his usage rate is so high. So, whether he's scoring or assisting, he is going to be most nights the best player on the floor, and that constant offensive aggression has to be there for him to be the best player on the floor. And we saw that certainly last night. I mean, I know it was a preseason game, and I know Drew Holiday wasn't guarding him, but still that was a pretty impressive performance from him. And that was something that you were very encouraged by. Steven Adams gave the Grizzlies what you expect from Steven Adams. Gives you some hustle, gives you some muscle on the offensive glass. One thing that, not having covered Steven Adams on a daily basis, I was pleasantly surprised with his passing ability and his ability to find the open man. So those were the 2 things that stood out. Desmond Bane, of course, remains very, very solid. And DeAnthony Melton had the type of game that has endeared him to fans around Memphis with 3 steals and making 3-point shots. So, it was a good start. I wish we had seen the fourth quarter. You might have seen more players with the Grizzlies get an opportunity to play. But, Mike Budenholzer walked his team out of the locker room. And then we had a very, very long series of conversations about what was going to happen next.
Well, he pressed the matter, but you know what? Maybe in the long run, that is the right thing. I'm sitting there thinking, trying to weigh out, is somebody who paid, and it ain't cheap, to go to see this exhibition game, does he deserve 4 quarters? Or since they weren't playing and they all went back in the locker room and, you get a little cool, is it really for safety in a meaningless game to just not play it? It seems to me they actually did the right thing here, even though the fans sort of get the raw end of the deal.
Yeah, I mean, what had happened was, the teams were sent back to the locker room, and at some point, I guess Bud felt, let's get out of here. Let's get back to Milwaukee. That's not his call. That's the league's call. And so then they're hanging out by the buses, and as the conversations continue, now the delay goes from 15 minutes to half an hour, 45 minutes, and at that point, player safety becomes the prime concern, and you're not going to rewarm these players at this point just to complete a preseason game. So I'm sure there were some very pointed conversations among a lot of people. But again, as we pointed out during our very long Phil segment on television last night, the league is the only entity that can say, okay, we're abandoning the game, we're calling the game, and ultimately they did. But it took us a while to get to that point.
And he kind of pushed it. I mean, he played the hand, and they had to go after with that decision because by that time, as you said, the delay was so long that you would have had to warm these guys up. Some of them, according to you guys, some of them ate dinner.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the Bucks players. They came out of the locker room. They were pulling their equipment, and they had the trays of food from the post game buffet. So they were hauling the food out of there, and some guys were actually starting to eat out of their trays as they walked out of the building. So yeah, it was we used the word surreal during the telecast. And I said to Brevin, "Oh, that's so 2020." But again, it's just another really, really odd instance, and thankfully this one was not due to COVID.
Yeah, well, and it is an exhibition game in the very first one. The thing that, it seems to me it's more and more evident as we go that John Morant has accepted and acts that like this is his team. And I know we didn't see that the first year, and I'm not sure we saw that all the time last year. But I suspect now that everybody knows it's him. He's the guy, and they will defer to him.
Yeah, I think we saw bits and pieces, the first couple of years. But now everybody knows it. And like I said, that consistent aggression, because we'd watch games last year, and there might be a quarter where, he wasn't having an impact on the floor the way that you would expect him to. And then there would be quarters where he'd go off for 10, 12, 14 points. And it was like, well, where was this the rest of the game? And, how he approached the game, how he managed the game, that's something that, you'd have to ask him about. But what we saw last night was a wall-to-wall, I am the alpha, not only for my team, I'm the best player in the building. I don't care that the guys on the other side are going to get a ring on opening night. I'm the best player on the floor. I'm going to show it, and I'm going to impose my will on the other team, which is a signature of greatness. When you think of Kobe Bryant and what he was able to do, he was able to impose his will on the other team anytime he wanted to, and I think that Ja has developed that same mindset.
I hope he does improve his shot. He was still 1 of 4 from 3, I think, last night, and that will be critical. The other thing is, I don't know Steven Adams at all except what I see on tape in interviews, and I love Bloody and I love Mate. So he's won me over that way, and I certainly can forgive him for what occurred, because you know what? Zebo was also involved in all of that. But, he is delightful to listen to. But let's talk about really what we expect from him. How can he, in his own way, in his own role, be as effective in the post as a player as Valanciunas was?
Well, I think he can be, because both of them are elite offensive rebounders, and let's be honest about this. Grizzlies didn't run a whole lot of plays for Jonas Valanciunas. I mean, he created his scoring by being around the bucket and being a tremendous offensive rebounder, which is the way that Steven Adams plays. Remember, Steven Adams last year with New Orleans really didn't use him all that much, because so much of everything they were doing was Jackson Hayes and Zion Williamson, and so there really wasn't that much of a role for him. We talked about it during the telecast last night, and this has been true for this franchise really since the days of Pau Gasol, is that you put a big at the elbow, and that's where you initiate a lot of your offense. Valanciunas led the league was among the league leaders in elbow touches last year. Adams is the same way. You can throw the ball to him at the elbow. He can go to work in the paint, or he can clearly set a big screen and free up somebody in a pick and roll. You don't have to run plays for him, because he can get to the offensive glass and he can finish around the rim. The major difference between him and Valanciunas is that Valanciunas does have a 3-point game and is a better free throw shooter. But other than that, you're looking at 2 elite offensive rebounders, and that's where Steven Adams is going to make his money. And the other thing, too, is he's been around, when you think of the years with Oklahoma City, and he's been around Westbrook, and he's been around Durant, he's been around, a winning
Harden.
program. Harden, his ability to come in and talk to Jaren Jackson Jr. and talk about, okay, here are some things that I've learned about playing in the post. Here's what I've learned being around guys that have been winners and guys who have been, to the NBA Finals. These are the things I've learned. And one of the things that Taylor Jenkins was very, very complimentary of with regard to Steven Adams is that he's been a really, really good leader. He's not a rah-rah guy, but he's somebody that, he's been around quite a while. And I look at the bio, and he's only 28 years old.
Wow.
But he's been around the block enough that he can talk to these young guys, and he can work with a Xavier Tillman, he can work with a Jaren Jackson Jr. And he has been vocal, and he has been helpful. And the first day of practice media availability, Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson could not be more positive about the impact that Steven Adams has had on this team, not only by his presence on the court, but his presence in the locker room.
All right, so we know Ja, we know Adams, we know Triple J, we know Dylan Brooks. Who's the 5th starter?
It could be Desmond Bain, depending on where you want to go size-wise. Is Kyle Anderson going to become a sixth man? I think when you're looking to space the floor and you get a three-point shooter, the best three-point shooter that you have probably would be Desmond Bain. So if you want to get his offensive firepower in there early, and also a guy who is a reasonably good ball handler and a reasonably good initiator of the offense, and he did some of that at TCU. So, if you want Ja to be able to play off the ball, Bain is a better option, say, than Dylan Brooks as an initiator of the offense. So I could see Bain going that way, and maybe now Kyle Anderson becomes your sixth man. I'm sure there'll be some experimentation, and still got 5 more preseason games to go, so I'm sure we'll see a lot of different combinations.
It'll be fun to watch. All right, last question for you. Tough one. Pau Gasol is the number 4 all-time leading scorer in a Grizzlies uniform with almost 9,000 points, 3rd in rebounds with over 4,000 boards, 5th in assists, almost 1,500, 2nd in blocks with 877. Rookie of the Year, first postseason team ever. He was the leader, first All-Star. If we're putting the core 4 with retired jerseys in the rafters, does Pau, who apparently is going to get one in L.A., which blew my mind, but is Pau worthy of a retirement ceremony in Memphis?
Yeah, that is a good question. Because you need to base it on his body of work in Memphis, which is very, very impressive.
Yeah,
and clearly got this team into the NBA playoffs, and unfortunately wasn't around for some of the later success. I'm gonna tend toward yes on that, and I know that some people may say, how can you have, let's say, you're going to be 5 jerseys retired, okay?
Yeah,
and you haven't won an NBA championship. The retirement of a jersey of a number is so personal to a team and what that player meant to a team. And when you think of what Pau Gasol meant to this team, putting them on the map after the relocation from Vancouver, being a Rookie of the Year, being the first All-Star in franchise history, that's awfully hard to ignore, I think. So I think ultimately, if you're asking me to vote, I mean, I'm leaning yes on Pau, and not only for what he did on the floor, but I think he, along with Mark, both of them were tremendous champions of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Both of them were great Memphians, relocated here from Barcelona, invested themselves in the community, and so when you take the whole picture, I think that Pau certainly deserves, at least in my way of thinking, his 16 needs to go up there.
Well, you look at those categories, frankly, he definitely deserves to be in there. I mean, you can make the case of the other 4 because they got to the Western Conference Final, and really and truly it was that team that I think put them into the DNA of the Memphis sports scene. So,
without a doubt.
And my last thing on this, and I mean no disrespect because I like Tony Allen, but if you're putting Tony Allen in there, you got to put Pau Gasol in there, for goodness sake.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, the core 4, they were always together. You had to put them in. I mean, it'd be like only putting 2 of the 3 Musketeers up there. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense. So, I think ultimately, you have to definitely give some very serious consideration to putting Pau's 16 up there.
I put Pau and I put Mark in there together. Bring them back from Barcelona. Let's have a big night. Pete, we're going to do this more often. Thank you for being a part of the show. We really appreciate it, and I know I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Wolo.
Pete Pranica, voice on TV of the Memphis Grizzlies. He's brought to you in part by Old Dominick. This is a cool place. Downtown, right there on Front Street, it is a distillery, the only place you can go and take a tour. How would you like to do something a little different? 45-minute all-sensory tours. You see how they make it. You get the history from the founder, Domenico Canali. You get an up-close look at everything, and then it ends with tastings. How about that? Or let me tell you, if you're looking for something to do late night, how about the bar? They got a bar in the distillery. Go to olddominic.com to see the bar hours. No reservations are necessary, and it's really cool. I mean, they got mixologists there. It's all under the watchful eye of master distiller Alex Castle. You can try an old-fashioned if you'd like to, or you can get a flight of Old Dominick products. It's a beautiful bar. It's got an elevated atmosphere, but it's not haughty. I promise. Go check it out. You'll love it. That is Old Dominick, our own distillery downtown. We pause for a minute. When we come back, my old partner, not old, but, that would be Brett Norsworthy. We're going to talk Rebels and Alabama, Arkansas, and a whole bunch of SEC stuff when we come back.
The all-new Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
For years, I have talked to you about James Davis, the finest men's store in all of Memphis, the service, the selection, everything that goes with quality. And I've told you recently about the Stant Perfect Fit shirts. Well, now there's the Stant Perfect Fit pants. Absolutely amazing. Only 2 measurements fed into a computer, and all of a sudden, you've got the perfect fit pants. I'm talking everywhere. The leg, the seat, the bottom, all made to fit your body absolutely perfectly. And there's 80 different fabrics to choose from. You will find the right look, the right fit, almost instantaneously. They start at $162, but you will never find a better pair of pants than these at James Davis Men's Store. And the shirts are still there, and guess what? It's the only place in Memphis that you can find Stant. That's the James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center.
The NFL is here, and FanDuel Sportsbook wants you to get the most out of every play. That's why they're giving everyone a $10 risk-free bet every week. This week is a great opportunity to give it a try. All you have to do is bet a same-game parlay bet with 3 legs or more, and if your bet doesn't win, FanDuel will pay you back up to $10. There's no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay bet, so lock in your bet today on FanDuel Sportsbook and get up to $10 back if your bet doesn't win. New to FanDuel Sportsbook, sign up today with promo code BIGHEAD to also receive a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code BIGHEAD so they know I sent you. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Same game parlay available for multiple sports in all states on mobile web. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
I'm with John Burgos in the alley at the world-famous Rendezvous. John, it's so good to see you. How are things at the restaurant?
Thank you, Brett. We are here and we're making it. I have to say a big thank you to all of our customers that ordered food during the curbside days, bought gift certificate when times were slow, ordered food to be shipped from our shipping kitchen, and then came back down to eat when our doors reopened. We owe a debt to the Memphis and surrounding community for supporting us when we need it. I hope y'all all come eat some barbecue with us, but I also hope you'll support our local restaurants. And if your service is a little slow or an item isn't on the menu that you enjoy, cut them a little slack. Hopefully it'll be there soon.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you for feeding all of us, and we will take that advice to heart.
Brett, we also have a new twist at the Rendezvous. We now have outdoor dining. It's in the side alley along the Rendezvous, not the one in the front. And depending on the weather and depending on staffing, please call ahead to make sure we're open. And we hope it becomes a mainstay here at the Rendezvous.
Mr. Charlie Burgos' world-famous Rendezvous in the alley in downtown Memphis.
Acura of Memphis invites you to experience the all-new, completely redesigned 2022 Acura MDX. It's the most advanced SUV Acura has ever built. Experience the convenience of full connectivity, including built-in Alexa, Wi-Fi hotspot, and wireless charging, from the stunning interior complete with third-row seating. Stop by our state-of-the-art facility and take advantage of our aggressive APR offers today at Ridgeway and 385. Or shop online from the convenience of home now. Visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again, it's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in, sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. A reminder, the Relax at Home sale going on right now. You can get a game of pool or shuffleboard, play with friends and family. How about just those aching muscles because you're out now and you're getting out there. You're really going to take advantage of the weather. They got those massage chairs. They work. Chill out, watch a movie, or the big game. You can do that with the new massage chairs. They're terrific. Also on sale, spas, saunas, patio furniture. Just get to I-40 in Wooden Road. Family Leisure, where family and fun all come together. It doesn't matter if it's 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Doesn't matter if it was 8 in the morning. Here at 10:30, the Natalie dressed, always perfect in appearance, Brett Norsworthy. How are you?
I'm well, Dave Wilson. What do you think I was going to look like? I do miss you.
You haven't seen me for 3 days. Come on.
I know, and I hadn't talked to you in almost 16 hours. But it's great visiting with you, Dave, and you're off to a big start. And it is well earned, what the opportunity that you now have, and it's a jam-packed hour. And I thank you for letting me contribute. I hope I do.
I'm glad to have you. I will. Well, let's start with this. What the heck happened in Tuscaloosa? You and I, seriously, we're talking behind the scenes.
I'll admit it.
We really both thought Ole Miss would win that game. I thought that was and you're giving me 15? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And
well, that should have been the sign. Las Vegas, they don't just hand out 15 to the opposing team and 18 in the Arkansas and Georgia game just for giggles. That should have been a big sign to us, but it wasn't. I let a little emotion and maybe some improper gettability of Alabama sway me a little bit. But what happened was ALA, BAMA. That's what happened. Yeah. And Dave, last Saturday in the SEC. And it can happen a lot of different weekends. A big heaping, helping, a humble pie got doled out. It got doled out in Tuscaloosa. It got doled out in Athens and a couple other places.
Lexington.
Tennessee. Lexington had some with the Wildcats, and Tennessee, they were able to serve up some, and a good Mississippi State team that we thought they were good when you left the Liberty Bowl that day after the Tigers' big win, and I still think they are. I still think the Tigers are good. I know that Ole Miss and Arkansas are good, but here's the rub for both of them this week. I mean, they're sailing along. I said it was the greatest September in Razorback football history. I really believe that. Those big wins, the vault, the catapult into the rankings all the way up to number 8. Now, this Saturday, when they play Ole Miss, if they lose, that's a 2-game losing streak. Same for Ole Miss. Right. If Ole Miss loses after this great start and the high wire act that Matt Corral and Lane Kiffin and Jeff Lebby and that offense that it is, the loser of this game will be on a 2-game losing streak. And you look down both of them's schedule the rest of the year, and except for the Razorbacks game against UAPB, University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and the Ole Miss game against Vanderbilt, they're not going to win them all. They're not going to lose them all, but every game's a coin toss.
I would say if we're looking for the biggest loser in the SEC up to this point, it's got to be A&M. Remember Jimbo Fisher talking about how he was going to beat Bama, and he's got his chance this week with their 17.5-point underdogs, and he said this was their year. I mean, they've got to
remember Bryant Dacus picking them to go undefeated.
I do. I do remember that.
Oh, Jay Morgan, we got that one in, didn't we?
Oh, Lord. That was a miss.
Of
course,
I had them 11-1, heck.
And also, so you have them 11-1, and if I can remind you, I believe you had USC in the playoff.
I did. I had USC in the playoff. I had J.T. Daniels winning the Heisman Trophy. He's thrown for 5 touchdowns.
Ooh.
Stetson Bennett the fourth, the KA Rush chairman, has 6.
You and I are both voters. Do you think that knocked out Matt Corral?
It dinged him. Now he didn't throw an interception. He's
Right.
still 10 in the good ledger, 0 in the bad one. But the 0 ledger, this is the one. This is the game. Last year, this was the house of horrors, the haunted house at Fayetteville, where he threw not one, not two. He went LeBron. He went 6 interceptions last year at Fayetteville against Barry Odom's defense. This is the one that I think he's had circled. He had a tough day Saturday. Dave, I like to call the center and the 2 guards. I like to call that the kind of the vortex of the offensive line. Kind of that's where it all kind of happens. Both guards and center for Ole Miss and both guards and the center for Arkansas were destroyed last week against Georgia and Alabama. They couldn't all but couldn't get a normal play called. Matt Corral had no time. I couldn't believe it. I really thought one of the strong points, I still do think one of the strong points of the Ole Miss team is the offensive line. But that Bermuda Triangle of two guards and center last week against Alabama, I just not seen anybody really do that to the Ole Miss offensive line over all of last year and this year. Same for Sam Pittman's line. So we'll see. Now, if Matt Corral, if Ole Miss goes on, what's the winning quotient to win the Heisman? How many? What's the bottom? 9-3?
Yeah, with that schedule, I think so. But you've got to have some gaudy numbers. You do. I mean,
and he will.
And I think he will. Well, he started that way. I mean, that's how good Bama's defense is, and that's how good Georgia's defense is. I think we're all saying now, well, we really overrated Ole Miss and Arkansas. I don't think that is the case. I just think that upper end of Georgia and Alabama,
league of its own.
That's it. I mean, and they are absolutely headed for a showdown in Atlanta. That
maybe 2.
Maybe 2. Absolutely, maybe 2. But you just said if you lose this week, somebody is, and somebody's going to be on a 2-game losing streak after having
sobering,
this
isn't it?
Incredible start. I saw somebody term it the bounce back bowl, which is fair. What do you really think will happen in this game? I know you're going to make your prediction on Friday football forecast, but I'd love to hear what you think are the real intangibles of this game.
Well, I do like that Vegas has it out there as a 6-point favorite for Ole Miss. Now, that's not the end-all be-all. We know you've played on the field of play. Start for Ole Miss because I know how tough that is for the visitor. I know how tough that is for the visiting fans from Arkansas to want to go to the game and pull for their team. We all love the 11 o'clock starts, but they're terrible for visiting fans, and it really inhibits the game day atmosphere because you have to get started bright and early. But I think Ole Miss, they have to run the ball consistently right at the Arkansas defense. Can they? Georgia was able to, but that's a different team. Can Ole Miss? And I think got to get Snoop Connor involved in the offense a lot earlier than they did last Saturday. Now, I agree, and I know he's right about it. Coach Lane Kiffin's explanation was a lot of times he didn't put Snoop Connor in because when you do that, it gives the defense time to they get a chance to change personnel. And it's not just a one-way street anymore like it used to be. And he didn't want to do a whole lot of changing at running back because he didn't want Alabama to be able to adapt. But Alabama was so adaptable. And, Dave, the news of them being gettable was greatly overdone.
No question.
It's unbelievable.
No question.
The team speed. Dave, how they come up in run support from the secondary, I mean, that's when those 40 times really matter. For most offensive linemen, what's a 40 time really mean? How many times are they going to run 40 yards?
Right.
And D linemen the same. It matters, but it really matters. That safety coming up in run support, I don't know that I've ever seen anything like how they come up and crowd that tackle box and really, have seal the edges so well.
They're all 5 stars for a reason. Last thing with Brett Norsworthy, Yep. Don't forget you listen to him and Gabe. That is at 3 to 6 this afternoon right here on Sports 56 and 98.5. And that was Lane Kiffin who did the popcorn thing and dropped the mic, and that looked a little disrespectful. I don't think it was intended that way. Here's what I liked. And you've said before you think he's grown up. And I believe you. And I think he owned that and felt bad about it.
Yeah. He did, and you know, a lot of work's been put in that change, in that maturation, and he knew it. And he reached out to Jamie Erdahl, who is a fantastic reporter and a lovely person. He reached out and he did the right thing. I think sometimes emotion gets the best of us. That game meant a lot to him, but this one does too. He has said all the right things, and he means them about Sam Pittman. And this week, crossroads game, the idea of a 2-game losing streak for one of these two teams, nobody had that in those heady times of September.
Enjoy the game and the broadcast. I'll be able to tune in. You know, there's that new Varsity app, so I'll be able to tune in.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best thing. Learfield came up with that.
I love the Varsity
app.
app.
It's incredible. You can listen to any college broadcast for free. All you have to do is download it at your it's Varsity Sports on your.
You'll be living on Tulsa time.
I will be living.
Good luck to you and the Tigers.
And a long Tulsa time because we don't play till 8 o'clock. It is crazy.
Long day in T-Town.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. This portion
of the
show.
Thank you, Dave.
Brought to you by Ken Garland. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Ken knows that big decision, that commitment you're making to build that dream home. Maybe it's a renovation. Nobody does it better. Takes the old, beautiful lot you love and that older house that you're used to and makes it a modern palace with all the modern amenities, from the island in the kitchen and the granite tops and the beautiful speakers in the walls, everything that goes with all the new stuff. California closets, you know what I'm talking about. He does it, and he works closely with you. The thing about Ken, learned from his dad, second generation, they've been around 50 years. Whether it's a brand new from-scratch home or that renovation, he works with you. He knows that financial commitment is there, and he will give you exactly what you should expect. On time, on budget, absolute quality. Go see his stuff, KenGarland.com, then give him a call, 751-1632. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Back in just 1 minute, Jarvis Greer will be a regular on the show. The man from Action News 5 comes your way in just a minute.
You have opinions?
Like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad.
We want to hear them. Call or text us on the AutoZone listener line at 360-8255. That's the AutoZone listener line at 901-360-8255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Taqueria Express has a new location at 6290 Winchester with family deals every day. Mouth-watering chicken tacos, only 99 cents. 3 tacos with rice, beans, and fresh guacamole, only $6. And incredible signature dishes with chicken or beef chimichangas and homemade tortillas stuffed with fresh beans, rice, and cheese on top. If you're hungry, try Taqueria Express's gigantic Macho Burrito. Homemade with fresh flour tortilla, and you choose beef, chicken, pork, or shrimp. Includes beans, rice, melted cheese, lettuce, tomato, and sour cream. Fajita fans, try Taqueria's delicious chicken or steak fajitas. Big enough for 2 people and only $10. If you're thirsty and want something unique, then try Taqueria drinks made from scratch, like melon and pineapple. Margaritas are buy one, get one free, and they got a little kick to them. For real Mexican food, Taqueria Express, 6290 Winchester. We'll see you guys there, and don't forget those strong margaritas. Buy one, get one free.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again, it's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
She's a good girl.
Soon to be joined by the guy who sits next to me for these football games, Jarvis Greer. He's brought to you in part by Miramichi. What a good day to go to Miramichi. You know, I like a little cloudy day. Kind of reminds me of the British Open a little bit. I love this kind of thing. I love the look of Miramichi. 7,400 yards of championship golf, but 330 acres of natural beauty. You play the back nine there, that meandering stream, the waterfall. I mean, it's just gorgeous. And it's a challenge. You don't have to play 7,400 yards. They got 4 different tee boxes, and it is so reasonable, too. If you're a senior, you can play tomorrow for as low as $30. That includes range balls, as many as you want to hit, all the practice facilities, the cart, the whole schmear. Can't beat it, and it's 25 minutes from my home in East Memphis. I promise you, it's 25 minutes. You know, Golf Week last year said one of the best places in Tennessee to play golf. Go check it out for yourself. You'll understand why everybody loves Miramichi. Everybody loves Jarvis Greer. Great Scott, it's good to have you on this show. How are you?
Hey, Dave, congratulations on your new hours. I know you're happy about it.
I am. No question. And I'm happy you're going to be a part of it. And let's start with the Tigers. You do the analysis every week. You're part of the Ryan Silverfield show. We know this program. And we know Memphis could be 5-0. There's no question about that. Fumbling has been the big issue. What do you think you do, Jarvis, as the analyst? How do you stop from fumbling footballs?
It's really something, you know, you don't want to, it's like free throws, sort of. You don't want to, like, pound it in them. You can't fumble the football, So what's on your mind? Can't fumble the football, and then what's the next thing you do? You fumble the football. Tigers have had, 4 fumbles in the last two games? And
all 4 costly. All have cost them points.
Very, very costly. And it's like, you know, it's not like they make a lot of mistakes, but the mistakes they made have been killers. And, you know, you had some momentum with up 17-0 at Temple, and then they go on a long drive and they score. Okay, it's 17-7. Still things are good. They kick off to you, and you're on your 15, and you fumble right away. And then all of a sudden it's 17-14. So that's like 14 quick points right there. They're back in the ball game, and they get a field goal to end the half, and it's tied. And so everything that you did, all the goodwill that you made, and all the nice plays that you made, getting Seth Hennigan throwing the ball around, and a lot of different receivers catching, and, all that's for naught now. Now you're back at square one going in the second half. So a lot of this, I think, is kind of like mental. You get a big lead, and then, some bad things happen, and then, you got to have that mental fortitude to be able to overcome it. We saw they were able to do it against Mississippi State and came back and looked good in that game, but the last couple of games, UTSA and Temple have just not have been able to do that. But that was really the last fumble. And I love Kylan Watkins to death, but it was his first game back from, being injured. And, he had played really well on the drive that got him on the goal line. So they're going to give it to him. They go on and score the touchdown. And on the way in, for some reason, he's switching the ball and gets hit by his own man and fumbles it into the end zone. And that would have been the game winner, because I don't know if Temple could have come back from that. It had Memphis scored right there.
Yeah.
And it's just something that
I'm with you.
Something that gets in your head.
Yeah. I think if Memphis scores that touchdown, Memphis wins that football game. But it was not meant to be. So that makes this game with Tulsa late night, Saturday night. I'm not saying it's must win, but it's about as close to must win as you could get.
Well, it's like, you might not say it's a must-win, but you can see it from there, right? You can see the must-win territory from there. And Tulsa owes Memphis one. You know what I mean?
Right.
The last time Tigers were up there, was it 42-41? Memphis escaped, and I mean escaped, with a victory when the kid missed basically it was an extra point almost. The only difference was it was on the hash mark. It was on the right hash, and he overcompensated and missed it left. And it's like, and that was the ball game, last play of the game, and that would have been, Memphis was rolling at that point and kept on rolling to game day the next week,
right?
And then got the big win over SMU, and then going into the Cotton Bowl.
Well, the ramifications of that were incredible, because honestly, as Ryan Silverfield said to us, he doesn't know if he would be sitting in the seat he's sitting in if the kicker doesn't miss it, because that set up game day, and then we had that great game, and that is when Mike Norvell really became a major star.
Yeah, he was already on the radar of everybody, but he really jumped ahead. He said, it's like maybe the Florida State doesn't call if Memphis loses that game. Maybe, it could have been a Baylor or somebody else like that had Memphis lost that game at Tulsa. But the Tigers won it, and had some breaks go their way. And it takes getting breaks in this game. You can't always, you control what you can control. And fumbling is one of those things that I think the Tigers can control. And it is a fixable problem. It's not like, if you look at it, all these fumbles have happened trying to make plays, not that they just dropped the ball. Other than Kyle Watkins' fumble, I think every other one of those fumbles were guys trying to make plays, get extra yardage, and got stretched out and stripped.
Yeah, the Watkins thing, I don't know what he was thinking, shifting the ball 6 inches or a foot and a half away. That was kind of
crazy.
He was
going in. He would have scored. He would have scored.
Have you seen, by the way, the size of Tulsa? I look, I'm not going to say Tulsa a great team. They got pounded in their own ballpark by Houston last week. But their offensive line averages 320. Two of these guys have they weigh 335. But wait, here's the biggest thing. I mean, I couldn't believe this, and I actually called Bruce Howard, their play-by-play guy, to see if this was for real. Their nose tackle weighs 365 pounds. How can the guy move? How can he move?
He doesn't have to move. He's like, you have to move him. And that's the deal. He ain't going anywhere. He's just going to stay right there in the middle. So you got to go around him because you're not going to go through him. And that helps make, their defensive front. But, there's a reason why, this Tulsa team, okay, people said, oh, Tulsa, no good. They lose to UC Davis in their opener. UC Davis, a good Division I AA team. But the fact is, Tulsa had all those guys, half the team suspended from that shenanigans in the bowl game last year against Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So a lot of them were their playmakers. And then they lose UC Davis. But then they go to Ohio State. And that game, that's like a 10-point game in the fourth quarter with Tulsa with the ball?
Oklahoma State.
7-point game.
Oklahoma State, they led most of the game. They only lost, by 6 points? So
they lost by 6.
This is not a gimme, that's for sure. And you know what?
No.
Little birdie's telling me they may be switching quarterbacks. Their fourth-string quarterback might end up being, who's been a backup before, might be a player in all of this. Before we run out of time, today is Pro Day for Penny Hardaway, which is a great thing because to have a Pro Day, you got to have some potential pros, and there's no question that Penny has that. How are you guys covering that thing?
Oh, we'll definitely be there. Cassie Carlson's going to be there, and she does a tremendous job. She's also part of the Ryan Silverfield show. I think she's the reason people tune in.
Yeah, no doubt.
They don't care about the uglies like you and me, but the fact is, she knows what she's doing. She studies and she researches, and heck, it's all in your face with this Memphis team in basketball because everybody knows about these guys around the country, and that's one reason why they're having a pro day. This is just basically a big flex for the Tiger program. You only have pro day when you got pros. I mean, they have pro day in football, college football, because there's always somebody on your roster that's going to be, catch the attention. Maybe a guy that can get on the roster of an NFL team. But in basketball, when you only got 15 guys, maybe one or two might have a shot. But Memphis has got, several on this roster that not just have a shot, but could be stars on the next level. So, they'll be there. All the GMs and scouts from all 30 NBA teams will be there at the Laurie Walton Family Basketball Center, and it's a great thing to see it coming back to Memphis. And you'll be the center of the college basketball NBA world today, this afternoon, 3:30. Are you going to be over there, Dave?
I'm going to try to make it. I am going to try to make it. The only thing that worries me now is the IARP update coming next week. But let's get this thing over with anyway. Jarvis, can't wait to do this every week with you. Thank you so much. Enjoy it. We'll see you on TV tonight.
Glad for your new program, your new hours, Dave. Enjoy it. I know that you've earned it, and just so happy for you. Glad to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you much. That is Jarvis Greer from Action News 5. Want to thank Pete Pranica and, of course, my partner Brett Norsworthy for being a part of the show today. And Jay Morgan always spinning the dials and making sure we get this thing all put together. Tomorrow, Tim Doolin on the Cardinal baseball game. How about those Bo Sox last night knocking out the Yankees? We'll do all of that tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Have a great day, everybody.